Rob, a very nice bounce back for the oil share today after yesterday's losses, and really being driven by a lot of the mining stocks. MTN Group, though, up 8%.
Yes, I think the Algerian government said that they would not allow the deal with the Rascom. The market seemed to like that, obviously, for MTN. They don't have to put out and get all of that debt that they needed to get onto their balance sheet to do that deal. I think a lot of people were short MTN as well, and I think there's a lot of short covering come in. So I think slightly overbought today, but a very good bounce there. And then on the mining side, all of the commodities started to move up. They said China's still looking good too, that engine's still moving, and then you're going to have to import quite a lot of commodities. So a really good bounce in the market today.
Rob, of course, we have seen this increasing volatility over the past few weeks, particularly with Europe's debt worries. Yesterday we had political concerns between North and South Korea, and those haven't gone away. So do you think we're going to continue to see the volatility and the bounces that we're seeing on the markets at the moment?
I think currently the volatility will still stay high. We need some consolidation at these levels and the market then to move slowly up rather than 3.5% every day and then 3% down. So the volatility is still here. We'll probably have it for another week or two as things settle down and we get a clear direction of where this market's going. We're on very important technical levels on the market, and while the market battles whether that's going to break down or up, there's going to be a lot of volatility. So we need to get some clarity on which way that market's going, and then the volatility will come down.
Well, just taking a closer look at that MTN announcement. So it looks like they may not be pursuing a Rascom at the moment. And of course, we did have news earlier this week that they had cancelled fundraising of $5 billion that they were going to use to fund that deal. So it looks like that could be off for the moment. Does this mean, do you think, that MTN will be looking for other acquisitions? Because it does seem intent on making an acquisition.
Well, you know, it's so difficult with MTN. Every time they come in to do something, they get blocked somewhere along the line. Most of the time it's been because of political issues. Once again, it's been a political problem with this deal. They have cash available, some cash available, and they obviously can raise a lot with their growth prospects going forward. So yes, they will look to purchase something else. They need extra growth in Africa, and they want to stay the number one in Africa. So they will look for something else, but maybe they have to settle down, take a break for a year, and then move forward from there.
Well, perhaps a merger on a much smaller scale. We had an announcement out a short while ago from Mercantile Bank saying that it and Sasfin have signed a non-binding memorandum of understanding to look at a proposed merger of those groups. What do you make of that?
It's two stocks that we don't look at that often, but the interesting part about that is I think they're saying that if that merger went through, that the Portuguese would be the main stockholder there and the owner of the merged entity. And it'll be quite interesting to see what the South African government says about that. It's not one of the top 4 tier banks in South Africa, and it's one below that, a second tier bank. And will they be as strict as allowing ownership for that bank or not? So quite interesting to see what political will the government puts onto that deal, and I think that's really what we'll be looking for. For the two companies itself, I'm sure there is some synergies that between the two companies that look quite good for them.
Mr. Price's results out today. We had that share price up 4%, 42.65 at the close. We were chatting to Natasha Moolman from RMB Morgan Stanley about those numbers. She seemed quite impressed. What do you make of them?
We're looking over them briefly. They look very good. Growth of 20%, increase of stores, like-to-like stores up 8.2%. In a very trying time, they've really gained some good market share. As you would expect in trying times, people are buying down rather than up. And very solid performance by the group, and actually across all of their different products as well, relatively good. So looking very positive for Mr. Price going forward.
Do you think it can maintain earnings growth of this magnitude, particularly as the economy recovers and some of the credit retailers come back into fashion?
I think it can. One of the reasons why is that the unemployment figure currently is still very, very high, and it's not coming down. And until unemployment starts to come down and people start to get real jobs and start to earn real money, they're still going to be buying down. And I think the amount of debt that the South African consumer has is still very high. And even though the economy's recovering quite well, there's still a lot of debt, household debt. So I think, yes, they can keep this growth going forward as people still buy down and still buy into Mr. Price's products rather than buying up into some of the other retailers.
Rob, any thoughts on the rand? Has bounced back quite strongly, not just against the dollar, but also against the euro and the pound, trading below R7.70 against the dollar at the moment. And of course, a week ago, this rand was trading above R8 against the dollar.
Well, I think a week ago we were upgraded by Moody's. So there's been fundamentals have been very good. Our GDP number came in better than expected. Our CPI is low. We saw it coming in today better than expected. So there could be another interest rate cut coming in later in the year. So everything looks very sound for South Africa, and I think people are realizing, that weakness in the rand was really a sell-off out of commodities, and South Africa as a whole looks very good, and the fundamentals look really good, and that buying came back into the rand. So a very good day for the rand today, and it just shows you that you can't really manipulate that rand price. If people think that the story in South Africa is good, the rand will strengthen.